Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. My name's Reed Price. I'm the director of the Senior Community Center, and we are going to be talking about Helpline House, which is on just on the cusp of about to break ground on a new building. I think there's still some money to raise, but the work can begin. And we'll be talking with Dean Lierle, who is the development manager at Helpline. But first, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring Something to Talk About. Fieldstone is a place to find independent living, assisted living, and memory care up on Rolling Bay. They also have day stay and respite care programs, and they'd love to give you a tour of their beautiful facility. Ask Celia or Jamie at 206 594 1010. You can also check it out on fieldstonecommunities.com. And we are meeting on the ancestral homeland of the Suquamish people, the people of the clear salt water, who have been living on the shores of the Salish Sea since time immemorial. We are grateful for their hospitality and their willingness to teach us to be good stewards of these lands and waters. So we would like to acknowledge that. So Dean Lierle has been working on helping with the fundraising process to build an expanded Helpline House facility on Nectal. And there's been a lot of sort of behind the scenes work, but you're coming out in the open right now, and you're coming right against a deadline or well, I guess a plan to break ground. So thank you, Dean, for joining us to give us an update.
Well, thank you, Reed. I really appreciate your having me on today to talk a little bit about Helpline House and our journey here to get a new facility for the community, which is badly needed at this point.
Yeah, the building that you've been operating out of for years is overtaxed. I know that there are a lot of programs that go on. It's not just a food bank, as many of the listeners here will know, but you offer a variety of social services there. And I guess you were telling me a few minutes ago that you worked as a social worker at Helpline at one point earlier in your life.
Yeah, that's right. That's my background. I was hired actually in 2005 and worked here till 2012 as a social worker, and then worked in private practice as a mental health therapist for many years before returning home here to Helpline House when I heard that they were going to be building a new facility for Helpline. They were looking for somebody to help with fundraising, which I thought would be a really amazing opportunity. I didn't actually expect them to hire me since that's not my background, but it's been a great experience so far. I started in April of 2023, which is really when we kicked off this campaign with a $1.9 million from the endowment here at Helpline House. And so with that in hand and with much more to raise, we started off and have been working hard, but kind of under the radar, and talking to our friends in the community to raise the money, and we've made some great progress, and as you said, good enough to where we are now at the point of many exciting milestones for us, including groundbreaking. And including moving into a temporary facility, which will be happening soon.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. I am hoping that you might, for people who aren't aware, be able to give a little thumbnail explanation of the range of support that Helpline provides to our community.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about talking to folks about Helpline House is that very often, even though they will have known about Helpline House for many years, people will end up being surprised to learn some of the things that Helpline House does for the community that isn't as well known. So most folks know that Helpline House has a food bank. And of course, that is an incredibly impactful resource for our community and has been since our founding in 1968. But at the same time as we developed our food bank, we also developed a case management program to help people with other kinds of basic needs, whether that would be help with kinds of health crisis or housing issues. Sometimes it's just somebody who can help you problem solve. For instance, families that are facing challenges with senior care situations. Oftentimes, having somebody who really understands what kind of um, resources are available in the community, and just being able to sit down with family members, with somebody who's kind of seen these sorts of things before, can be really helpful. And then beyond that, we also have uh, a mental health program as well. And about a year ago, and I think you interviewed Sean, who is our um, uh, children's mental health specialist, and also is our social services manager. But that program focuses on working with mental health needs for kids that are ages 5 through 12, and but that is alongside a very long-standing program to help provide free, no fee mental health services to adults as well.
So the new facility is designed to try to meet those needs that are already being underserved in terms of space. I know that when Sean met with us, just trying to get a place for kids to go to talk and play and explain what's going on with them a little bit is cramped in itself. I've been to the executive director Maria's office, and it's just, you go up a squirrely staircase and have to go through a few other things, and I mean, the whole place is probably overused. So you spend a lot of time looking at the right kind of facility, and you've been talking, as you said, with people who are supportive and understand this and have helped make big strides in fundraising. So I wonder, if you don't mind, if we might look a little bit at some of the pictures for those of us who are on, if I can figure out where to find it, those of us who are on Zoom. So you sent me some pictures earlier. See if I can open them. There we go. And just share them to the screen. So, can you tell me a little bit about uh, the idea of this new larger facility?
Sure. Yeah, this is going to be approximately 12,000 square foot new facility, which is we have a little over 7,000 square feet now that is usable. But what's really different, a couple of things. First of all, this facility will be really purpose built for the kind of work that we do and for the kind of volume of work that we do. And it'll be flexible as we go into the future to for us to expand our programs and meet the expanded needs that we anticipate and that we've seen just over here in the last few years in particular. The other thing that is going to be revolutionary for us is that all of the services and all of the space will be under one roof, whereas now we literally have 5 or 6 different places where we're keeping and storing food to be used in the food bank. We are often having to take food from our lower barn and use a little cart to go up a gravel hill with a cart full of food. And our volunteers are going to be extremely excited about the fact that all of our space now, all of our storage space, will be located right next to the food bank in the same building. It'll be incredibly more efficient. You can see this will give us about 3 times the square footage, a little under 1,000 feet of square feet in our market of shopping area. This will be really revolutionary in terms of the experience that our clients will have in the food bank. Um, Currently, we have a limit because our space is so tight. We can only host 3 shoppers at any given moment. And in the last year or so, we've been hosting, oh, on average, over about 100 shops a day, 100 shopping visits a day. So with only 3 at a time, we end up with very often with lines. And if somebody is coming here on their lunch break or something like that from work, which is not uncommon, they just don't have time to wait in a line. So we're really excited about the expanded footprint of our market. You can see here the lobby, and we'll have the ability there to really communicate some of the information about programs and activities and so forth in the community that will be relevant to our clients. It'll be a really a dignified and welcoming place for folks when they come in to visit us.
Yes, and
And that's
I know that you have, people that come and visit now, but there's like 2 seats in the little lobby area.
That's right. It'll be greatly expanded in terms of the capacity. The other thing, and you touched on it, you talked about our little staircase, and of course, anybody with mobility issues knows that you know uh, that kind of a setup, to have to navigate a staircase like that to get to the executive director's office is not consistent with who we are and who we want to be as an agency. And this building, it will be fully accessible. We'll have curbless parking. We'll have an elevator. Um, it's very thoughtfully designed by Jonathan Davis. Um, both from a standpoint of accessibility, but also sustainability as well.
That's great. And it's going to be at the same location,
It
same
will
property.
Same property, right? If you're familiar with our property, you know that our current building is kind of up at the top of the hill in the back of the property, set back from Nectal. Our new facility will be much closer to the street. It'll run kind of lengthwise on the flat area that is currently our parking lot, and will extend about to where the grade starts up the hill. And parking area will just be to the side of it.
Oh, you're going to need to get out of the way if you're going to build this. And so, what's the plan? People ask me this all. What's the plan for while you're building?
Yeah, well, that was really important part of the whole planning process. I mean, there's been so much thought that was put into this, obviously, before we made the decision. I mean, we looked very closely at, you know, could we just do a refresh, be able to sort of mimic what we had in terms of the layout. And, after really consulting with the community and, having the board members meet with the architects and so forth, we decided on the plan that we have now. And so, yes, we knew that we were going to have to move. And then the question was, where were we going to go? And I think we've gotten incredibly fortunate. We have found a space on Hildebrand at 901 Hildebrand. It's where the Clark Construction offices. It was, I think, a Union Bank. It's right sort of kitty corner to where the Winslow Animal Clinic is. And that space has a very similar footprint to the building we're in now. It will be able to hold, it's a 2-story building, so we'll be able to sort of have a similar type of flow as we have in this building here, such that we'll have the food bank on the first floor. We will also still have an outdoor porch pantry for after hours food for people who need and want that. And then upstairs, we'll have office space for our social services team. And they also have offices, since it was a former bank, they had offices where clients met with their bankers and so forth. That are private offices, so those will be great in the for the time being for mental health and for case management.
When are you planning to make the move?
Right. So we will close the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of April. Will be closed here to make the move. And then the 28th, Monday, the 28th of April, will be reopened in the temporary facility, ready to go. I don't know if you know Michael Wright, but if you do, he's our super volunteer, former board member. Just he's been in charge of this whole project, and it just can't say enough about what he's been able to do with other volunteers that he's coordinated to put together a food bank where once there was a bank.
That's great. And it's going to be very convenient for people who have been figuring out how to get to Nectal because it's just a couple blocks away. That's a wonderful thing for your clients and for all of us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we have good parking there. It is a kind of a place in the overall map of Bainbridge Island that's very close by where we are. So yeah, no, we're very excited about that for our clients because it is just much better for them.
The end of April, beginning of May, and 2025. And so are you thinking that maybe if we cross our fingers and our eyes and our toes, that by summer of 2026, you'll be able to move back?
Yeah, this is the hope. This is the plan. And so what we what we're planning here is to have we'll actually start with a site prep and demolition in May here at Nectal, and then we'll have a formal groundbreaking in early June. We just want to solidify that date before I give it out here in this big public space, but it's coming. And so that kind of the next steps, and that's where we're starting to talk about this more publicly and get the word out.
So how are you doing on the fundraising? What's the goal and where are you and what do you need from the larger community to get us over the finish line?
Well, the community's been amazing, as I mentioned, and so right now we're right at about 75% of our goal, which is right on time. That's where we wanted to be, and then the timeline here is to continue fundraising until shortly before we plan to open the building. So for another 9 months or so, we're planning to continue to fundraise. We still, obviously have a lot of work to do, and the way that we've made progress primarily is with individual major gifts. We've had some participation from government, but not nearly as much as we thought. We've had to do a lot more on the individual side. The community has always supported Helpline House primarily, and that continues to be the case. And that will need to be the case to finish the campaign because we're seeing that some of the government sources that we're hoping for are looking pretty wobbly right now, the state and the federal.
So will we anticipate that there will be more direct public requests for relatively smaller donations? I'm sure any large donations that would still like to be made, you're more than happy to welcome, but
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. So yes, the major gift effort continues, and we are able to offer a 2-year pledge period for that. But you're correct that we are now starting in part of being here, and we'll be out at events. You'll see us at the farmers market. You'll see us at the 4th of July and the Battle Point concert series and many other events this summer. You'll probably be tired of hearing about Helpline House, by the end of the summer. If I'm doing things right, you will. And that'll be, you'll have lots of opportunities. We'll see that the community will have lots of opportunities to give, and we're very grateful for support, however it comes, and whoever, whatever people have. We're incredibly grateful.
And I think that's a tremendous tribute to where we are already, that given that it's been a weirder and weirder state and certainly federal climate, that you've been able to get to 75%. What is the dollar goal that you're going for?
Well, I'm hesitant because it looks like we're just going to be hearing from getting our final estimate from the contractors, Washington Patriot, who we're working with, and so we'll be able to kind of get that final figure for public consumption. It looks like it's going to be near about $12 million, and so that's more than the initial goal. So when I say 75%, I mean 75% of the initial goal. But the way that it's come about, again, has been mostly from our friends in the community. We saw that we set an initial goal for the community that we've already been able to exceed. And so we're revising those as we go along, and
Yeah,
particularly as we go to the public.
that's a lot of hard work, and I appreciate that. We're, as you know, on the verge of looking at our own capital campaign to create a community center here on
Yeah.
Waterfront Park. And from my experience, that looks like you did a lot of sharp pencils to get to $12 million. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's frankly not.
Well,
For,
that
for
is, yeah, that and for me, as somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience as a fundraiser or with capital campaigns or anything like that, it was kind of, I feel the same way. The initial number sounded like a lot, and then you start to really dive in and dig in and realize that it adds up really fast, and also you're always mindful of the fact that, I mean, this building that we're in now has been in operation for 40 years. And the building that we're constructing now, we're building this to be much more durable, much more of a wonderful tool for what it is that we do. And we anticipate this will greatly outlast the building we're in now. So it's an investment for the future, for sure, for the community.
Oh, I wonder. I want to talk about one more thing, which is basically the status of uh, operations for Helpline, given that tumult in our federal funding and challenges for state funding as well. I know that you do depend a lot on the local population. We all are supportive on, one call for all, and uh, rolling a few dollars into when we buy at the grocery store. But you also have depended on some of that. I know that operations is not necessarily your bailiwick, but can you talk a little bit about how that's going and what the challenges are?
Yeah, well, it's all it's in that sense, it's kind of it is all connected, right? So I may be my a lot of my attention certainly has been on the campaign, but we have to pay attention to what's going on in our operations fundraising, because it's the heart of what we do, right? Is caring for the community, and so we need to make sure that we're meeting our goals. Fortunately, I'm able to say that in 2023 and 2024, we did meet our annual fundraising budget goals. And so it is my hope that we will do so again in 2025, but it's all occurring in the backdrop of, an incredible increase in utilization of our services and in need. So, to give you an example of that, we saw over in just the last 2 years, so between 2022 and the end of 2024, we saw a 66% increase in the number of shopping visits to our food bank. Um, it's really astounding to me, who was here back in 2008, 2010, when we were seeing maybe 35, 40 people a day. And now and we just recently had a day where we saw like over 120 people in a day. So it's just, we've just seen this escalation of need, and now we're seeing that some of the funding is being cut. So I know that just I was just talking with our food bank manager today, and we've seen a couple of programs, a couple of federal funding programs that have been cut. And so at the same time that we're seeing the increase in need, we're seeing a decrease in some of our funding sources, particularly on the government side. So it makes for a compelling challenge at this time.
So, has Helpline benefited from being able to either purchase or distribute food that's been channeled through the federal government that is no longer available? Is that the story?
Right, right. That's exactly right. There are resources. The Kitsap County Food Bank Coalition uh, supplies or has supplied a lot of food that has come from federal dollars or been funded from federal dollars that have recently been cut. And there's also a local program which was cut, which is a farms to food bank program, and that was providing locally sourced and grown vegetables and fruits and meats, so fresh foods, both to the school and to Helpline House and to other food banks regionally. So, that's a big loss, and we find ourselves with just a challenge, as often happens when you see the economic conditions deteriorate a little bit. It kind of is a double whammy, right? It not only do we have more need, but we also see that the funding starts to get more challenging. So it really, the um, the will of the community, and the commitment of the community to what we do becomes even that much more important.
Yeah, I was reading in the Sun this morning an article by Charlie Thompson, executive director at Fishline, about the
Right.
fact that this is certainly not something that is isolated to Helpline. And you mentioned a moment ago the network of food banks in our area. And so you're all working together to try to figure out how you can stretch the dollar that we donate.
I really appreciated that article by Charlie. He just it's true. We all have our specific community that we serve, but we also exist within this larger kind of regional community as well. And the Food Bank Coalition is really a great way in which we all partner to try to tackle the difficult problem of food insecurity.
Before, well, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions here in a minute, but do you have a plan with web presence or something like that that we can kind of, in the maybe not today, but in the coming weeks, get to see sort of how things are going or what what you expect it to look like?
Well, that is a great question, Reed. Thank you for all the great questions. You're really helping me talk about what I want to get out there in the community. Yes, we will. We're working on it. I think it's just about finalized, and so I believe, let's say 2 weeks, we'll have it open, and up and running to the public,
Okay,
so you can really
I'm
see it.
putting it in my phone now.
That's right. Yeah,
Two
yeah. Put it
weeks.
on your calendar. Go to Helpline website in 2 weeks
Okay.
and take a look at it. You can see all the beautiful images of the new building and hear a little bit about some of the exciting ways in which the new building will help us have a greater impact for the people in our community who need us.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Dean, for that thorough discussion. Is there anyone on the call that has a question that didn't get answered? Okay, well, I want to thank you again and do check back. And we're interested, as I said to you before the call, we enjoyed talking with Sean about the program that she does with young people, children, and mental health, and highlighting the work that you're doing at Helpline House is really important to the whole community, and we think of ourselves as part of that coalition that responds to the needs and helps our community be stronger. So I
That's
appreciate the
right.
work you're doing.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate the way in which you're highlighting what we're all doing for the community, but especially inviting Helpline House again. So thank you, Reed, and
Have a
thanks to
lovely,
everybody who came.
yep, have a lovely afternoon.